Welcome back, everyone. This is Cody Hart for Government Accountability. Today is January 19th, and I am making a major announcement on my election integrity efforts. As many have been waiting for my Monday meeting with the Free Washington Group here in Cedar Woolley, I am putting this video out to outline some of the most significant and absolutely irrefutable evidence of election fraud in Washington State. I am going to name the names of those I have found committing this crime and what they have been doing and explaining it, the evidence I have to the public in this video, so everyone understands why I believe what I believe and why I say it's irrefutable. And so I will go over that right now. First off, I will let everyone know you can find the information on my blog, Cody Hart for Government Accountability, and under my blog section of my website, you will find that at the bottom of this section there is a downloads, and in the downloads I have loaded my report from Monday, January 17th. This is election audit findings, duplicate ballot analysis, and that's what I'm going to go over today. And I'm going to go over the attachments that are with it. I emphasize this to the group on Monday. Everything in this report is duplicatable. You can duplicate my results, you can find them and all the evidence in this and understand why this is so absolute. So I will save some people some time. I'm not going to read this verbatim. I'll let people on their own read it, but I will provide an overview of the beginning section, the analysis, and the findings at the end and what it all means and where we're at. So duplicate ballots, or I should say ballot duplication. Let's talk about what that is. I outline it in the first part of the reports here and the process that should be used. And it is this process in this report that I'm really emphasizing is transferring electronically emailed ballots that were submitted to the election office into a readable format. So when a UACOVA is how many people pronounce it, Uniformed and Overseas Absentee Voting Act ballot is received, many of them are sent electronically. Some are not. Many are received electronically via email. This is the system that was put in place through federal regulations to accommodate active duty military. It's one of the great emphasis of it. Overseas, who would not be able to otherwise vote in time for the elections. They are sent ballots early. They are allowed the electronic ability, and they are the only ones in the state allowed to submit emailed or faxed, any electronic format of ballots. And so in our county, we have a canvassing board manual, and I outline in here in that manual, this is all detailed in my report. It's adopted by the local government, and how the procedures are to create those ballots. What it generally consists of is a two-person team taking the electronic printed ballot and transferring it over to a normal ballot that you and I would get in the mail or pick up that we would fill in. And that format is readable by the machinery in the election office. And so we have an email that two people are entrusted to transfer over those votes onto a readable format of a ballot. And then according to both our local law and state law, two more people are to verify it. This is one of the most unsecure methods of voting that we have in the state. It is the least secure, and it has the most impact on an election, and I'll explain why. If you were to cheat and add a vote to try to overcome a difference in two candidates, you have to create paperwork for that. You have to create signatures. That ballot then has to be counted to make sure you get that one vote. In the ballot duplication process, the majority of security protocols, pretty much all of them, have already been gone through for somebody who's either emailed or sent a ballot hard copy or dropped it off. It's already gone through all the signature verifications, all the security protocols. Now it's just a ballot that's not linkable to anything else. Well, by doing a replacement ballot duplication and changing that vote, you're not just gaining a single vote, you're actually removing a vote and then adding it to the competitor that you want. It has twice the impact. It is the most impactful way to cheat. It is absolutely the hardest on a paper trail as well, because as you'll see in my report, the state legislature has made it against the law to disclose those emails, anything about them. They are non-disclosable from public records. So the state has a very secure system to keep themselves from getting caught. And so in my report, I give you guys the laws that go into this, and then I go into the actual analysis of what I received. So there has to be a ballot, very much like this one, a duplication log, very much like this one. Every county has a different approach allowed by the legislature and the laws to develop their own approach as long as it accomplishes what they want to accomplish. Well, I requested a great number, all the information on the ballot duplication process. And you'll find in my appendix, as with everything in this report, you'll find the information that substantiates it. But these ballots in particular are found on Appendix C, point 8, or Appendix 8 of this section. And now I had to scan these in at black and white to get them in actually even be available to you in the public without creating some special zip download. But you can see everything that I based my determinations off of. You can see all the signatures and everyone that's involved. And you can see in here the categories that they internally track these at: electronic ballots, and they use this process through a great, they use it for the entire election duplication process in the year 2020 for this election. So going back to the report, the ballot duplication records here, I went through, and I will first tell you that they sent me a file that was too large to really do anything with, to transmit. It was very difficult to get. And then the information on over 200 pages was out of order, very intentionally, in my opinion. I will accuse them of that. They did it gave it to me out of order, so I wouldn't understand what I was looking at. And so for those people that look into and verify what I found, you will find that they used numbering, and let me get to the beginning here, for two different teams. And actually, I'll back up. For three different teams, primarily. There's 5 altogether, as you'll find in my analysis. And they call them boards. As I mentioned, there has to be 2-person teams, which they call a board in this. Boards 3, 4, and 5 are the primary culprits of what I have come across. And I have had to go through records, which are included in the appendix as well, on their signatures, because some of them are very difficult to figure out who these people are. So I've saved everyone that time. And at the end of this, I will point out very significant aspects of who these people are. So they worked in these teams, boards, 5 of them, and these 3 specifically, I'm pointing out 3 and 4 and 5, were the ones I have found participating in what I consider illegal ballot processing, and everyone will understand why here in a second. And I counted up the different categories. As you saw from my appendix cover, I have all these in here, and in the duplication logs, and there's hundreds of sheets here, they categorize these. Here's one for electronic, and this is their handwriting, not mine. This is what they did during the election to keep track of what they're doing. And then they went on this particular board, 3 duplicated these ballots, and board 4 verified them. And that's why I am so insistent that both these boards and the 3 different boards identified were part of the fraud that I am reporting on, because one had to do it, the other boards had to check it. It's obvious they coordinated and they were doing this together. So here it went from electronic, you'll see here, to now they categorize them as Uakava. And this is their own method, and this will be their downfall and how they did this. And this is something that they, after this election, stopped keeping track of in this way, because I think they realized they had put themselves in jeopardy and potentially could be found. And they've been trying to cover this up and keep people from buying this, and I'm the first one to find it. So back to the report, they have these different categories. The first two I just showed you, electronic and UOCAVA. They have other categories I labeled as spoil/TB. You'll see TB in there. It's commonly referred to as what I believe they will say a torn binder. It's physically damaged, so it can't be counted without putting it onto an undamaged ballot. And that's the most common method. That should be the most typical when this is done. This should not be occurring this much to begin with, but I can understand that. Things get damaged. And there's a board that would verify the damage couldn't allow the ballot to be counted. These electronic and UOCAVA, which could only be sent by email, could not, according to what they are wanting us to believe, they were duplicated because they were received by email and had to be duplicated. They have some other categories which aren't as relevant, but I put in here as well. They suspended ballots, a number of them here. And then I tabulated everything. And these tabulations are very important to understand. And they were my first just absolute fireworks on what was going on here, because I'd looked at a number of documents during this election. And so let's look at this. We have electronic 711, UOCAVA 461. Okay, that's roughly 1,170. And so 1,170 were electronic in UOCAVA. Well, I want to just remind everyone, ballots can only be received electronically if they are UOCAVA. And so this has to be, if they're being duplicated, they're saying that, hey, these are UOCAVA ballots, we're counting them. So let's go look at the actual certified document called a reconciliation report that should align with what we're seeing on these ballots. And here's a copy of it. It's available on the county's website. And when we look at this, I'll zoom in. You will see that UOCAVA, they are saying they received 671 total. They counted 668. Well, I'll remind everyone of what we have here. We have 1,170 that are UOCAVA and electronic. Now, we go back to this, and they are confirming. This is what the certification is certifying, are all these numbers. Return method, email. They only received, according to their own records, and I will point this out over here, their own records, 432 total. And they're certifying they didn't receive any by fax or email, which is electronic. So we have immediately a massive conflict here, a massive conflict. And I explained this in the analysis. And that's when it also can be found that this total ballot, this total number of duplicated ballots, 893, almost 1,900, is nowhere to be seen on this reconciliation report, which I explain in the beginnings of my analysis and my review of state law is a requirement because of its audit trail requirements. So they omitted it, and I will point out the auditor is legally obligated to provide a total. In my report, I will also explain, tell people you'll find in the appendix of my report in emails and exhibits, you will see in here that the Skagit County Auditor Election Office could not provide and would not provide the total number of ballots duplicated, which is, again, required by the law to be able to be told by the auditor. So they withheld it. They didn't give it. They didn't report it. They were concealing it because this was something they knew would catch people's attention. And so I'm grateful that they screwed up and created a record of their illegal activities. That's great. They made a mistake. And we can see it. We have the election certification now that we have physical records that conflict with the certification documents. And so it can't be overstated. These ballots that I point people out to that are signed and initialed, that are conflicting with our certification show and prove and provide physical evidence of election fraud in Skagit County in the 2020 election. And it's absolute. There's no going back on it. This certification is a invalid election certification, and everyone who signed it certified a document that they stated according to their own certifications, and let's read this. I solemnly swear that the unofficial returns and supporting documentations of the general election held on November 3rd in Skagit County, state of Washington, are true and correct. And they also swear that the canvassing board, which are these three people, certify that it is a full, true, and correct copy of the abstract of votes, including the number of registered eligible voters and the information in it. So again, this verification is a absolute falsehood, and I provide that statement in here as well in my report. So the 2020 election in Skagit County certification is not valid. It was a falsely certified document, and the physical records that I've uncovered conflict with it, proving that it's invalid. So now I think it's important to talk about the signatures of those involved and who these people are. So I'm only going to point out a couple things here that there's much more going on that are going to be found out. I point this out in my appendix of my documents that Judy Kaiser, she is a legal assistant to Melinda Miller. Melinda Miller is the canvassing board member. There are three of them. Let me explain the canvassing board members. So there's three of them established by law. They're supposed to verify all this information. Melinda Miller is one of them. She's from the prosecuting attorney's office. She would have been the one, if those remember, during my video deletion audit of the video surveillance record, she would have been the one consulting with one of the other members of the canvassing board, the Skagit County auditor, Sandra Perkins. So here we have Melinda Miller from the prosecuting attorney's office. We have Judy Kaiser from the prosecuting attorney's office. I'll also point out that as of this morning, I was informed Sherry McRae is a retired former employee of the prosecuting attorney's office. Rich Wyrich, he is the prosecuting attorney, which Melinda Miller works under as the assistant prosecuting attorney. So we have these multiple links to the prosecuting attorney's office. I've said all along, and I inform people if they remember in the video deletion, that there were connections that the law enforcement should be aware of with the prosecuting attorney's office. And here we are seeing them in the forged ballots. These were the masterminds behind all of this, in my opinion. These were the people who committed these crimes. These are crimes, in my opinion, because they conflict with the election certifications. They withheld the records, and they violated many state laws in their documentation to conceal everything that was going on here. And the third member of the certification is a Skagit County Commissioner in the 2020. That's Lisa Janicki, which those who recently saw a video on 911 where I was obstructed from reporting election crimes, I just pointed out Lisa is the chair of Skagit 911. She was obligated, and she swore to and signed these certifications. She verified the information in these. And so I have to say she failed all three of these failed, and I believe all three are likely participants in covering this up because of the magnitude of what's going on here. And in the findings, I summarize in one page what's going on here. And as I mentioned, duplication has double the impact as just adding a fake ballot from a fake person. In this case, we look like we have around 711, somewhere between 505 and 711 is what we're looking at, that are suspected of being forged ballot duplications to sway the outcome of the election. And I can't overstate it. I say it right in here. That number simply is a magnitude that will change the outcome of the entire county government and the county elections, with 13 competitions during that election within that margin where this amount of election fraud would impact. I just can't overstate it. The entire county government could potentially be falsely empowered because of the fraud that this is uncovering. And it's absolute. Again, you can't, everyone can see it. You can't be lied to. You can't tell me, well, I don't have what I need. You have what you need. The information that I provide in the appendix in this report will give you everything you need to show and see the laws and see the fraud that these ballots, these duplicated ballots that were falsely and improperly and illegally duplicated and concealed from the public, the impact they had on the election. Let's talk about where I'm at with this. I have already, on Monday, the law enforcement, the Whatcom County Sheriff, the special investigator from the FBI that have been signed, that I have been providing information to for the election crimes and government corruption that I've been reporting to you on. They've got this information. They have it. I believe they're going to act on it. I wish I could tell you with 100% certainty. I'm asking everyone to be patient a little bit longer, not forever, just a little longer. Let them take action. Let them show us. They're not going to let us be taken over by an illegal, tyrannical government. They will go after these people and use the system we have in place and not make us do it ourselves. I believe all of these people are now in the discussions with legal counsel. I doubt anyone will be surprised by that. And it's just a matter of time, in my opinion. It's just a matter of time before there are sweeping indictments and arrests made in Skagit County for this, the acts that I've reported and that I'm showing all of you. I'm not wrong. I'm just not. Their own documents show that their certifications are wrong. I can't overstate it. The certification for the 2020 election is false. It is based on false information, and those who certified it did not perform their obligation as they swore to verify the information, and they very much may be participants in this, in my opinion, and from the looks of it. There's so much corroboration and the evidence on past audit reports and the events that I've informed everyone about. I think that's what the federal government's going to conclude as well when they indict everyone involved in this. We have, in my reporting, I believe we're going to end up with 4 elected officials: the Skagit County Prosecuting Attorney, the Skagit County Auditor, Sandra Perkins, the Skagit County Sheriff, McDermott, and Commissioner Janicki are all in legal jeopardy at this point for being indicted for election crimes. And we have 6 members of the Skagit County Election Office I believe will be indicted as well. And I'm going to keep pursuing my own approach to this because I don't have 100% faith in the system. I'll take legal action in the coming days against everyone involved and put the judiciary to the test, because there are crooked politicians. I'll remind everyone that the judiciary had appointments within this margin as well during the 2020 election that could have been participants as well, as far as I know. I don't have evidence of that right now. But they definitely will end up, they were beneficiaries of the fraud that appears to have occurred. And I believe that further forensic analysis is going to prove that even more. So we will keep fighting this fight for those of us who are out there looking into this. But this is, I have to reiterate and to close this out, the most significant and absolute evidence of election crimes in Skagit County's history, with the potential and upcoming indictment of nearly 10 people, 11 people now. So it's a matter of time, everyone. So keep your prayers out there. Keep putting their feet to the fire. And I'm glad I could share this with you.